Hey everybody, it's Owen Schwaegerle with the Schwaegerle team. Thank you so much for coming to our seminar today. Today we are going to be going over how to upsize, downsize, buy and sell a home in this market. So my name is Owen Schwaegerle with the Schwaegerle real estate team at Keller Williams Realty Central Coast. And here's a little bit about who we are, our background. My wife and I, Camille, we have been married now for almost 6 years and been in business for about that whole time, and we created the Schwaegerle team. We recently had a baby. He's almost 9 months old. His name is Walker, and so if you're looking for a new crib, he can hook you up. And then we've got our team here. So there are a total of 3 agents, an admin, and a transaction coordinator on our team, and we work together to help people achieve their real estate dreams, experience financial freedom, and love where they live. That's our mission at the Schwaegerle team, which you can see right there. So we're a service-oriented team. We believe in education and empowerment, and that's why we put on events like this seminar, so we can help people learn tools to help them make their next move. So today we're going to be talking about how to make a move. So there's this concept I want to go over with you. It's called the scale of comfort versus profit. And it's a sliding scale like this. So you've got comfort on one end of the scale and you've got profit on the other end of the scale. And so when you make a move, you need to decide where on that scale do you feel most comfortable. Where do you want to be? A lot of people, they want comfort and they're willing to pay for it. And they oftentimes will sell for less or pay more because they want to be more comfortable in a move. However, if you're willing to slide over on that scale into some of the more uncomfortable positions in a real estate transaction, you might actually end up with more profit in your pocket bottom line. And so that's what we're going to go through today, is looking at all of the 5 major strategies that we use to help people make a move, and we'll see where you feel the most comfortable, where you want to be. So here it is, the 5 ways to move from your current house to your new home. And essentially what it comes down to is, do you have to buy first? Or can you buy first? Or do you have to sell first? So if you can buy a house first before selling, that is going to be a really great position to be in. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So first of all, if you can buy a home, number one, you have to be able to afford it, right? You have to have the ability to pay the mortgage and a down payment, or buy that next property cash, and keep the old property. So this option is actually, it works really well because you don't have to list your house, be contingent upon selling or finding a new replacement property, and you're able to shop around without having to move. So this option actually is a little bit more profitable than some of the other options, and if you have the buying power, it can be a comfortable option as well. So this would be a great option. The unfortunate reality is most people can't afford to buy first and then sell second because they're relying on the equity in their home to help them with the down payment. So option 2, this might work for you. You can buy your new house first, keep your old house and turn it into a rental, and that way you have some income. And talk to a lender, but the rental income can actually help you qualify for your next purchase potentially if you have a lease agreement signed. So that could be a great strategy. You may need to have the lender see a lease in order for them to count that income, and that way you've got 2 properties. So those are the first 2 options. And in those 2 options, you're able to buy first and then sell second, or actually keep it, not have to sell at all. Option 3, sell and buy simultaneously. Now this option is what we see a lot of sellers want to do because to them it seems the most comfortable. I can start shopping for homes and looking at houses without having to list my house. Sure, I want to do that. And once I find a house and I get my offer accepted, then I'll list my house for sale. That's how people think it works. And unfortunately, it isn't the easiest way to do it, and because of that, this option is very costly. Let me share what I mean by that. So let's say you want to buy a house and it's a brand new listing, super cute, it's perfect for you, for your family. You're either trying to upsize into it or downsize into it, and you like the house. You write an offer. Well, guess what? Someone else liked the house too, and they also wrote an offer. So now we're competing with multiple buyers for that same house. What do you think we have to do to get the seller to accept our offer? We're going to have to raise our price, we're going to have to release contingencies, and we're going to have to make our offer even more enticing for the seller to take it over the other buyer's offers who don't have a house to sell. Do you see where I'm going with this? Imagine if you were the seller in that situation and you had 3 offers on the table. One person has a house to sell, it's not even listed yet. One person has a house to sell, it is listed, and one person has a house to sell, or has no house to sell, and they could buy it without selling a house. Of those 3 options, naturally, you're probably going to want to take the one that's not having to sell a house first. Second best is if they have a house that's already listed on the market. And then lastly is accepting the offer from someone whose house isn't even on the market yet. So in order for your offer to be accepted, sometimes you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars over the asking price or hundreds of thousands of dollars over the asking price. Now let's say they accept your offer. Woohoo! Your offer is accepted. You're under contract to buy your new house, your dream house. Yay! And you had to overpay to get your offer accepted. Well, now in order for them to keep your offer, you have to sell your house. And so guess what happens? You have to list your house, and now we need it to sell. Like, we can't sit around on the market for a few months. We can't test the market at a higher price. No, we have to sell in 17 days or you lose your dream house. So in this situation, you're going to be under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. You're probably going to want to sell quickly, and we're going to have to list it at a price that will cause it to sell quickly. And so in that situation, yes, we could still create a bidding war, get offers, bid up. But once you accept an offer to sell, the buyers know that you are contingent upon selling this house to buy the next house. And so they have you over a barrel because they can use that to negotiate down on price or repairs or closing costs once we're under contract. And so now you have to overpay, and you might sell your house for less or get beat up during the escrow process by the buyer. And so this option is actually the most costly option, the most stressful option, and it usually ends up taking the most amount of time and energy to make this type of sale work. Now, we have done these sales before where we buy and sell contingent, concurrent. They do work. They're just very stressful, and oftentimes your offers will not be accepted on the front end until you get your house listed for sale or get your house under contract to sell. At that point, a seller is going to take you a lot more seriously. Okay, option 4. Now, this is a pretty cool option because you can actually sell your house first, buy second, and do a leaseback on your house. So what's cool about this is you don't have to move. You can stay in your house until you find your new house. So you can get that house sold, have the money sitting in the bank, and now you can go in and write offers and be not contingent upon the sale of your house. So this is actually a more profitable option, and it could be considered a little bit less comfortable because you just sold your house and now you're a tenant in your house and you have a landlord who's, the buyer of that house, but more profitable. Now, if we're sliding down the scale, we're going to look at option 5. This one is actually the most profitable if you have to sell of these options, which is sell first, buy second, and find temporary housing. Now, this option, it's not comfortable. People don't want to have to move twice, right? You want to be able to know, okay, I sold my house, now I'm going to move into this house, and I know what's happening. So people really don't like this because they want that certainty of where they're moving to. But by doing this, you're going to put yourself in a better position financially to negotiate and get a better deal on the house you buy. And you also get a better deal when you sell because you're not going to have to feel the pressure to reduce your price or perform because you're not going to be under contract on a new home at the same time. So this is actually a really great option. And what could work is you either live with family, friends, or you find a short-term rental or something along those lines. So that way you still have housing and you can then shop freely knowing that you have money in the bank, you know what your budget is. Okay, next we have a lender coming up. And this is someone we work with a lot. This is a person you can trust, someone who performs and gets deals done. And so she's going to share a little bit more on financing. So we just shared the 5 strategies on how you move, whether you have to buy or sell first. What she's going to do is jump into the financing options behind each of these moves. So I want to welcome Kim Rivas to come on up and share with us, Kim, some of the lending options that are available today.
Thank you so much, Owen, for having me. I think it's really important, again, that you have someone, like Owen said, that you can trust, that performs. And it's really, I tell people that finding a real estate agent is kind of like dating. You're going to spend a lot of time with them, and so you need to feel really comfortable. And the Schwaegerle team, many times I've worked with them, has performed over and over. So I'm really happy to be here to share some strategies with you to help you get into your next home, whether that's upsizing or downsizing. So, a little bit about me, Katie Capital. I've been in business for 19 years now. We have an office in Paso Robles. We lend anywhere in the state of California, and we do that quite frequently. I'm a top 1% originator in the country, not the company, the country, and I have been for several years. So we know what we're doing. We've done a lot of loans, and we've done a lot of these strategies that we're actually going to teach you about today. So upsizing strategies. One of the upsizing strategies that we're going to talk about is using equity from your home that you currently own in order to get into the new home, whether that's upsizing or downsizing. These are strategies that will work for either, but we're going to go through some of these things that will work for either of those options. The second thing is using a retirement account, and we'll talk about this a little bit. Some people are nervous about doing this, but there's a lot of different ways to do it that are very low risk. The third option would be a gift, and the fourth option is a low down payment loan. And we'll go through these strategies for upsizing, and then we'll get into the downsizing options. So let's say you own a home, and the value of that home is $850,000, but you only owe $350,000 on it. You want to be able to use that equity to get into a new home. So you have equity of $500,000 in this house that's sitting there locked into your house. You have, let's say, a great rate on a fixed rate mortgage because you may be in the 2s or the 3% range. So you may not want to touch that yet. So let's say we take a line of credit out. We can get up to 90% of the value of your home. So taking into account you already owe $350,000, we can actually get a line of credit for $415,000. Now, not to say that you have to use all of that. We may only get a line of credit for $50,000 or $100,000. But what it does is it frees up that equity for you to be able to put a down payment on another house without having to sell first. So one of the things that Owen talked about is not having to sell first, which is a great strategy to get you in and not have to negotiate a lower price on your house or pay more for a house when you're purchasing it. So that option is great. I like the equity line strategy because it is very low cost. And what I mean by that is to get a line of credit, you do not have to pay a lot of money. You don't have a lot of closing costs. In some instances, you may not even need an appraisal. So you don't have to pay on that money until you actually use it. That line of credit just sits there. There's no cost to you until you actually draw out on that line of credit. So it's a very good option that you can do at the beginning of your search or even before you start searching to be prepared to make an offer on a home. The second strategy is the cash out. Again, using equity from your home. Let's say you know that you're going to buy a house, you already have a house in mind, and you want to keep the house that you're going to exit. This may be a good strategy because we can get you into a 30-year fixed rate. You know what your payment is going to be. You know how much cash out you're going to need for your new purchase. And so we can get you in to that new house knowing what you need with a fixed rate. So again, $850,000 value, $350,000 mortgage, you have $330,000 in cash available to you that you could put down on the new house, okay? Now your numbers may not be exactly this, of course, everybody's gonna have their own specific situation, but this is a great strategy if you wanna keep your current home. Along with the equity line of credit, those are two options that we can look at to see what the best fit for you might be. The third option is retirement account. So a lot of people have a retirement account and they don't know that they may be able to borrow against it. And you can do it in a long-term loan most of the time, or you can do it in a shorter-term loan that you get to pay that money back to yourself with interest. You're not paying somebody else. You're using your own money and paying yourself interest back into your retirement account without paying taxes on it for withdrawing out of your retirement account, okay? So this is a great option. I actually love it for a short-term option as well because you can pay off the loan to yourself in the retirement account at any time. There's no prepayment penalty for paying yourself back. So if you have a significant 401k, and even not significant, if we do pair this with another option I'm going to talk about in a moment, you can take a loan against your 401k to get into your new home, and then once you sell your current home, pay that loan back. The other benefit is we don't have to use that debt on your 401k loan to calculate in your debt to income ratios for qualifying on the new house. So it's a really good option that not a lot of people think about, but maybe a good option for you that we can talk about. The next option is a low down payment strategy. So let's say you want to keep your home, and even if you don't, you have some cash savings, okay? And you may say you have $50,000 or $25,000 or $35,000, depending on the price. We can actually get you into a new purchase for as little as 3.5% down. If we go with a government loan, if we go with a conventional loan, it would be 5% down. So this may be a good option. One of the reasons I love this option, especially on a conventional loan, is let's say you own a home and you are going to sell it. You plan on selling it, but you don't want to go through the stress, like Owen said, of trying to sell it first and then purchasing, or trying to do it concurrently. So if we do a low down payment loan on a conventional loan, let's say we get in, we put 5% down, we have mortgage insurance, right? A lot of people don't like mortgage insurance. However, it can be temporary. So what I mean by that is when you sell your current home, let's say you net $300,000 and you have an $800,000 loan currently. Two things you can do. You can do a principal reduction and recast, where without refinancing, they will lower the payment on your loan and recast it over the remaining term of the loan. So if that's 29.5 years or 29 years and 11 months, whatever it might be, it'll recast over that period, lower your monthly payment. In conjunction with that, you can request that your mortgage insurance be removed because now you have less than a loan to value of less than 80%. Great option. Not a lot of people know about that, and you don't have to refinance to do it. Typically, the cost to do that is a couple $100.
How often can you recast?
You can actually recast every year if you wanted to.
And does the 30-year period start over?
No, it recasts in the remaining amount of time that you have on the loan.
So if you're making additional principal payments, you could recast?
Typically, they want a large principal lump sum. Sometimes they require 5 or 10% of the loan.
Oh, okay.
But to make it make sense, you would want a large principal payment to do the reduction. Gift strategy. This can be a great strategy. Let's say mom and dad have some money set aside and they want to give it to you for this transaction, but you want to pay them back. So initially we're going to look at it like a gift. And this is a great strategy because if they have 20% to give you, if you want to give it to them back afterwards, that's totally up to you, but we're going to look at it like a gift. And then you can get into the home, sell your place, and do whatever you want to do afterwards, repay the gift, or if it's truly a gift, then you don't do the repayment. So this is something that, if you have people in your family that may want to help you, it may be a good option to get in without having to, do an equity line or refinance your house. So downsizing strategies, a lot of these are going to be kind of in conjunction with the upsizing strategies, but there are a few things that are a little bit different. So equity line for down payment, we did kind of already talk about that. That's a great option for downsizing. If you have a ton of equity in your house, it's a temporary thing. We do the line of credit, maybe purchase the other house with completely cash, or put a significant down payment down. You sell your other house and you pay that loan off. There's no prepayment penalty. It's a very low cost way to be able to get the equity in your house and use it as a down payment for your purchase. Secondarily, bridge loan. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute. Low down payment loan, which we already talked about using as a strategy. That can work for downsizing as well. And a cash down payment. So again, we talked about this paying it off. I think it's a great low-cost strategy to get you in, and it gets paid off. The other good thing about this option as well is you may be able to do a line of credit just on the purchase, on the home you want to purchase. So rather than doing a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, you can do a first lien HELOC or first lien home equity line of credit, pay it off, and still have that line of credit available to you. So if you wanted to pull money from that later to make another investment, you still have that line of credit. So it's a good option to keep your equity flexible without having to do a full refinance. Bridge loan. This is something that a lot of people don't know a whole lot about, but we do quite a few of these actually, and especially right now because in this type of market, it is a little bit tougher to get your offer accepted when you have a contingent sale, meaning your home is not sold yet. You either have to get it on the market or it's on the market and it hasn't been sold. So with a bridge loan, what it allows us to do is essentially finance a loan against both properties and close without having sold your other property or purchasing the new one with cash or with another type of loan. So what they do is they take your current home loan, whatever you owe on your current home, plus the price of the new purchase, and that's going to be your total loan amount. They put the loan what they call cross-collateralized, which just means it's recorded against both properties, and that's your loan. Once your home sells, that loan is your old the loan is paid off against your old home, and if there's enough cash, from which there should be on the sale of your old home, you pay off the new loan. Okay, so that bridge loan is just a very short-term loan, typically up to about 11 months that they allow you to have that loan. It's typically interest only, so it'll keep the payments down because it is going to be a bigger loan for a shorter period of time. So it's a shorter close. We can typically close those in less than 21 days. There's no need for a contingent offer. And the bridge loan is paid off again when your home sells.
How often are those used?
We use them quite a bit in the last couple of years just because of the strength of the market and not wanting to do a contingent offer. So for example, I had a client who owned a home free and clear, $1 million plus property, but it was going to take her a while to get out of that home, pack everything up, move, and at her age, she didn't want to have that stress of having to pack everything up and move in a specific amount of time. And so she found a home that she wanted. We did a bridge loan to get her in. Took her 3 or 4 months to get everything packed up, moved into the new house, and then she listed her house.
Wow.
So it worked really well for her.
Sounds like a great idea for downsizing.
Absolutely.
So what are some other, I guess, pros or cons to that? Like, is it more expensive to do that kind of loan?
Yeah, that's a great question. So because it is a shorter term loan and because they consider it somewhat riskier just in the eyes of the lending world, the interest rate is typically higher than you would get on a regular 30-year fixed rate, but it's actually fairly close to what equity line rates are right now.
Wow.
So it's not a bad option. There are additional costs. So typically there are points involved when you do a bridge loan. Because the loan is so short, that's where the lenders are making their money, because you're not going to pay a whole lot of interest during the life.
Do they do an appraisal on both properties?
Typically an appraisal is not required.
No way.
No appraisal is typically required. They will do previews of the property, meaning they're going to look at it. I have had it where they've requested an appraisal just because we're in a more rural area sometimes, and so there's not a lot of comps around it, but it just depends on the specific property. Typically appraisal is not required though on a bridge loan. Okay. Which means we can close a little bit quicker. Low down payment strategy, again, and we talked about this a little before, but it does work for downsizing as well. So if you don't want to sell your house first, you have some cash in the bank or a 401k or a gift, we can use all of that down, smaller down payment to purchase the new home, and then again, either look at doing a principal reduction and recast once your home is sold, or you can pay that loan off completely with the sale of your house.
So on something like that, a lot of people we work with are, seniors or on fixed incomes. So some of these options sound like a little bit harder to obtain potentially if you don't have that income. So can you explain how that would work in like a downsizing type scenario? Where
so in that situation, we are going to qualify on the debt to income. So it's really just going to depend on their specific situation. There are some times where if they do have that lower income, we may need to use some rents from the exiting property if they're going to keep it. But it will be on a case-by-case basis. One of the advantages of the bridge loan that we love is there's actually no qualification for income.
What?
Yeah.
How does that work? So
we're doing it basically on cross-collateralizing both properties, and so they're doing it based on the equity rather than the qualification income-wise. So in that case where the borrower doesn't qualify because they have lower income or a very low fixed income, the bridge loan might be a better option.
That sounds great.
Than some of the low down payment options.
So how does that work though? Because once you do sell, you still have a loan of some sort,
Maybe.
Right? Or is it all cash usually, like pays it off?
It doesn't necessarily have to, but at that time we could refinance into that lower loan amount. Because typically they're going to owe very little on the new property, if anything.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Piggyback loan, we haven't talked about that, but that's something that we can do as well. And what that means is we would do a first trust deed, say a 30-year fixed, and then do a line of credit in addition to that. And then when you sell your other home, we just pay off the line of credit and end up with the first mortgage that you want, a regular 30-year fixed. So that option works very well as well. Cash payment strategy, again, using your cash savings rather than getting a loan, an equity line, or anything like that. Use your cash. Once you sell your property, we can do the principal reduction and recast to lower the loan amount and end up with the payment that you want or feel comfortable with. Because you're downsizing, you're probably going to want a lower payment, and so that principal reduction and recast works very well. Okay, I will turn it back over to Owen. Thank you so much.
Before you're done, other questions. Okay, from the audience. How about, strategies to get out of debt quicker? the recast was a cool idea, but are there other strategies people use to pay off mortgages quicker?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing a lot of people ask me is, okay, if I make an extra payment per year, that typically takes 5 to 7 years off of a mortgage, and most people don't know that. So if you just make one extra payment per year, you can shorten the life of your mortgage. The other thing that you can also do is bi-weekly payments. So you can make a mortgage payment essentially every 2 weeks, twice a month. That ends up calculating out to one extra payment per year, but the interest that you're saving is a little bit more because you're knocking it off every 2 weeks.
Nice. On YouTube, I've seen videos about these strategies where you have, I think it's like a revolving line of credit, and you use that to pay the principal down quicker. Does that make any sense? Is that a strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's technically a first trust deed HELOC.
Yes, I've heard of that. So how does that work?
So they're called all-in-one mortgages. They've been in Australia for probably the last 30, 35 years. They've actually been in the States for quite a long time as well. But they're not very well known, and it's a sophisticated product as far as explaining it, but what it is a first trust deed HELOC attached to your bank account. While your money sits in the account, it actually is being applied to your mortgage, and so you're paying less interest on it. You can draw back on it up to a certain amount of the loan to value. That decreases as time goes on, but it is a great way if you are a spender that has a lot of extra left over every single month and you're not earning anything in your savings account. It's actually getting applied to your mortgage. So I've had clients, we did a loan 6-7 years ago for a client, and she's already paid off her house.
Okay, so you can pay off a house in like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, depending on what, how much money you're gonna have left over from your income every month.
So how does that work? Basically, it's like earning interest based on what the mortgage rate is?
You're not earning interest, you're just not paying interest.
Based on...
So if you have a $500,000 loan,
yeah,
and let's say you have $10,000 of extra disposable income every month that you are not using, you're essentially applying $10,000 towards your mortgage every month.
Mm-hmm.
So you can draw that money back out, but that's going to increase the balance on that line.
I see.
So it's just applying the extra amount that you don't spend every month to your mortgage. You're paying that much less interest per month on the loan.
Okay.
And they calculate it daily.
They calculate the interest daily?
Mm-hmm. Based on the balance in the account.
So if you have large deposits going into your account here, but this is also basically your life operating expense account, right?
Yeah.
So you're using it to pay for groceries, gas,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then you also have your income drop into it. So it's like paying down, and then you see the balance go from like 500 to 490.
Correct.
To 480.
It really works well, again, for individuals that have a good size amount left over each month. So rather than putting that in savings, you're paying down your loan with the option to be able to draw on that if you need it.
How common are these loans?
I wouldn't say they're very common. Part of it is because we are so sold on a 30-year fixed rate here in the U.S., whereas other countries, 30-year fixed rates don't exist.
Right.
Europe is adjustable rates. Other countries are adjustable rates. So something tied to an account where you're not necessarily earning that interest, but you're not paying that interest on a loan, it works very, very well. It's just not been bought into in the States yet. But we have a whole simulation that we can show you. If you make this much money, this is how much you owe on your mortgage, how quickly you could pay it down.
We need to talk.
Yes.
I want to look at this. And is that just for your primary? Can you do that for rental property?
You can actually do it for rental properties as well. So if you have a really high cash flow property, it might be a really good option.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So,
Are there any risks to that?
well, the risks are you can't really go negative in your account. Not that that's a risk, but
yeah,
your whole objective of using that type of loan is paying it down quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Any other questions? All right, that was incredible.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay, so in closing, I wanted to just share a quick review we got from one of our incredible clients. This was a great transaction, worked out really well for this couple. They had a house that they needed to sell in Grover Beach, and then they wanted to buy another house. So we were able to do the strategy, and we actually were able to get their offer accepted first before listing their house. Now it doesn't always work out like that. It's very difficult to do, but this was a situation where we did get an offer accepted before we listed their house. And it still worked out. And here's what they said. They said, Owen and Camille are both great at what they do. They're knowledgeable, committed, and trusted partners in real estate. Their team created a great experience for my wife and I by taking in our idea and turning it into a reality. They assisted us with the purchase of a new home while at the same time listed and sold our first home. They are engaged, communicative, and process-driven. They partnered with us at every step of the way as we navigated the semi-stressful process of buying and selling concurrently. Thank you both. So that just warms our heart, and we are so grateful for all of our clients and the people we work with who've given us great reviews over the years. And so it is possible. If you're looking to upsize, if you're looking to downsize, if you want to buy and sell simultaneously, you can do it. You totally can do it. You just need to have a game plan. And so if you want to make a move in real estate this year, please reach out to us. We'd love to set up a free consultation, a move-in consultation where we look at how you can buy, how you can sell, and how you can ultimately achieve your dreams in real estate. So here's our contact information. You can reach us here, and my phone number, you'll see it right there, and Kim's number right over here. And reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you and help you all achieve your real estate goals this year. Thank you so much, everybody. Woo!